We're back
Yes, we are.
for another episode of Chilling with the Jays podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Stephen Richards of Richards and Richards, uh, Family Law and Litigations. We are from Chattanooga, Tennessee, right off of Broadway and Main Street by the bakery. So feel free to come by, swing on by for a free quote. But it's only partially free.
It's
So just remember that. Time and time again, I had to let people know what's up. But AKA Jay, aka the man, your best friend, your mother's best friend, mind you.
true.
And we got another banger of an episode that it's important to everybody that
Yes.
the internet, we all use it. So it's not like some people are affected and some people are not. Everybody will be affected if it goes hard. But I'm joined by Gomez Adams himself, and he's going to introduce himself right now.
I'm Gomez Adams, a client of Richards and Richards Law.
Bombs.
I was looking for a guy who can litigate some shit in the court. I found him. So shout out to the Richards and Richards Law.
Appreciate that.
Chattanooga.
We appreciate that.
I'm not even from here. Also, I'm Juan. I'm Juan. That's who I am. And we are happy to have this topic at hand because, ladies and gentlemen, net neutrality. It's something that, like Jay said, it's absolutely huge. It affects each and every one of us. But a lot of people don't know what that even means. They're like, net neutrality? Yeah, I don't have feelings. I don't care. I'm kind of neutral. That's not what that completely means. But what is net neutrality, right? Let's start there.
What is
What's
it?
net
What is
neutrality?
What is it, bro? You gonna break it down, or you want me to break it down?
I could break it down, but then you break it down, and it'll be like a double breakdown like Double Dragon did it.
But shout out to Breaking, the breakdancing movie.
Breakdancing. Oh, dude, that's the thing. Do the windmill. And the thing with net neutrality, that's a weird way to segue from windmills to net neutrality, but hey, keep the shit spinning. Is the fact that the way we use our internet now is what net neutrality is. The way you would expect your internet to work is basically net neutrality in full force. Net neutrality means that no major company, a la Comcast, AT&T, or Verizon, can sit there and throttle speeds for certain websites that they're not feeling. On top of that, it stops them from being able to set a crazier price onto things. Like, hey, because what is it? I believe that Comcast owns NBC, is it? And
yeah.
if, say that you like to read your ABC newspaper, say that you like NPR, whatever you like your news source to be, but it's not NBC. If net neutrality is brought down and they go with what they're trying to do, and by they I mean Congress, I mean the FCC, I forget, was it Ajit Pai? He's the FCC chief right now. I forget what the title is, but basically, if they get their hands on doing what they want to do with the internet, it would be possible for Comcast to say, "No, we're not going to give people the highest speeds if they want to access this website or that website." In fact, we're probably not even going to allow them onto the ABC website. If they want to go to NBC, since that's our, that we own that, absolutely. Matter of fact, make it the highest speed ever. Let them get to NBC as fast as they can. So I think we can imagine what the problem is here and what that'll do for big companies isolating their businesses and making it very, very difficult for any other type of business to flourish on the internet, which is absolutely fucking wrong. Let alone the fact we can move beyond business and talk about if you're the type of person who's an activist where you basically bring together your community for whatever thing that you have a voice for. If one of those three companies doesn't like what your voice has to say, they kind of have now the power to say, we're going to kind of slow down we're going to lower the bandwidth on people being able to see that message. And of course these are the extreme cases, but that's what net neutrality is. Net neutrality means that it's the same internet across the board. Although Comcast, AT&T, and Verizon may have the cable companies to pipe the internet to our homes, in no way, shape, or form could they choke it out or slow something down or even to the worst degree stop you from ever visiting a website simply because it's not on the things that they like. So that's net neutrality as I understand it. How about yourself, Jay? How do you understand net neutrality? What's the breakdown?
My breakdown on net neutrality is basically how we use the internet now. Everybody thinks it's free. Everybody just do whatever, it's all like hidden. My shit's kind of private. Whatever I look on the internet's my business. I can freely go here and there. Social medias, Facebooks, Google searches, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I can do what I want to do. The internet is for what I can do what I want to do behind a computer screen. That's what net
Yes.
neutrality is. Pretty much, you can look at it as just doing whatever I want to do. Just put it that way. I use the internet to do what I want to do.
Yep.
And if this takes effect, basically, your internet's going to be controlled by not you, pretty much. In a nutshell, of course, it's a lot more technical aspects about it, more politicky government terms they could be used about it. But net neutrality is basically that your internet's no longer going to be yours.
Absolutely.
It's not going to really belong to you anymore. It's going to be relegated pretty much. It's kind of, what it kind of reminds, what it'd be like, kind of. I don't know if it's going to be that severe. It's going to be like the internet in North Korea. And basically, the way I've seen a couple of documentaries on it, and also a Vice episode. Shout out to Vice on HBO, fucking banging ass news. Keeping it real news. And they've looked into North Korea's internet, and the way it's used out there is that they can use the internet, but the internet will only show what the government wants them to see.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, they don't let them see what's going on in the world, like the real world. Like I remember one year, North Korea got their asses squashed in every Olympic event, right? Yep. So somebody made an article that they could only see. It says that they won the most golds at the Olympics. That's pretty much. I'm pretty sure it's not to get that severe, but that's the general idea of like you're going to be able to see and do what you're told you can do.
Yeah.
And speeds are going to be maybe be affected as well. Throttling, things like this as well, and it's gonna be fucked up in all forms.
Yeah, yep.
Definitely, it's not gonna make you want to use the internet. You can't even call it the internet anymore.
Yeah, it's gonna be called not the internet.
No, it's gonna be called bullshit. And there's gonna be if they put that type of bottleneck on the internet, that there's gonna be a hell of a lot of people not wanting to use the internet either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're like, fuck that. The internet was something cool at a time, but it ain't cool no more. You know what I mean? I can't even watch a certain type of naked movies I like because now I'm getting like warnings from the government. You know what I mean? If I want to see big booties covered in chocolate, I can't do it anymore because they only want you to see it in caramel sauce. Type
That's
of.
what it is.
That's pretty much what it is. That's pretty much what it is. They only want you to see certain type of things.
Yeah.
But my question is to you, bro, as well. Like I don't know how they're gonna do this. What about like because everybody ever since the internet. And I would say like at least within the last 5 to 7 years, it feels as though everybody has like a voice. Everybody thinks they do have a voice because sometimes these news channels and CNNs and things like this, they like pick and choose like people's like actual comments and blast them on the world. So everybody feels as though if they say something, it might be displayed on TV.
True.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that going to be handled now? Like, are you even going to be allowed to be talking that much shit now on the internet?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, the whole net neutrality and what's going on is that the FCC wants to basically pull out of actually managing the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. It won't be so much that like you won't be able to say what you want to say. Like you can still go on, like you would still be able to maybe access something and say what you want. Like you can go, like we could post this on YouTube, right? And say that we're talking shit about whatever political position, right? We'll still be able to post that. But where it becomes the detriment is the fact that that message can either be hard to get to or impossible to get to, depending on the internet service provider, right? And that's one of the issues is that in this country, how many times have we ran into the problem where it's like you move to a new place and you start looking for internet, like, hey, I got to get cable. And it's just like, oh, man, I really want this Verizon Fios, right? Well, sorry, we don't actually service over there. The only thing that's over there is Spectrum. Like, they own so many big quadrants and stuff that that say that whatever message you did say on that video was pro Verizon. People who get their internet from Comcast, they might have a hard time reaching that message. Like, and that's where the difficulty comes in. And if you have something to say, will it reach CNN? It may reach CNN if perhaps the internet service provider you have is in cahoots with CNN. Like maybe AT&T likes what CNN says. Maybe the owner of AT&T is cool with the owner of CNN. And so what they'll say is like, hey, we're not going to charge you a lot for our internet bandwidth since, since CNN's main hub of its main servers are located within our provider district, and you can go with us. We'll give you you don't have to pay us so much money to basically spread your message. But then at the same time, if NBC is in the same area, they can be like, well, if you want internet from us, you're going to have to pay this much more money. So what ends up happening is you're going to see a lot of businesses falling to the whole idea that it's going to all be ran by internet service providers, and it's not going to be regulated by the government. Which, interestingly enough, that's the opposite thing. Net neutrality is something that the FCC, aka the government, is basically, they're dipping their fingers in there, saying that businesses can't throttle your connections. They can't make it a competitive market. Like, everything has to be neutral. Everything has to be even across the board, because that is the internet. And mind you, the person who actually created the internet is absolutely pro net neutrality. It's an important thing, like Jay said. So that's sort of what would happen if somebody were to try to put a message out there it would depend on what the message is. It may or may not get out there. It will no longer be as accessible to hear that message if net neutrality does not exist. And that's a problem.
Yep. Very big one. And I don't know if anybody really understands how severe that could be. That's something that can happen. I think they're trying to make it happen right now. You know what I mean? So it's not a thing where it could happen years from now or something like that. It could happen like now. And if what that means is another point is to make is that means, as you were saying, the companies, the internet providers are going to have the control over the internet now, pretty much.
Yep.
And if they don't want you to see something, or if it's going to be going against their competitor,
yep.
you're not going to be able to access it.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so you're not going to have that freedom, because the company's going to be running it. And we already know how companies really feel about their customers.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like they want your money, but they don't give a fuck about you. That's their attitude. Pay us your bill and never call us.
Exactly.
Ever. If you have a complaint about your internet, go fly a AT&T sponsored kite. That's all I can tell you. I mean, just get out of your house. That's go out, go be outside. Try again later. Type of attitude.
Exactly, man.
So and I've worked for Comcast. I've worked for another.
Yes,
yeah, I've worked for Comcast before. I've worked for another company, a smaller company called Summit. Basically, they did nothing but fiber optics in Florida and Marco Island, which is an island off the coast, pretty much almost off the coast of Florida.
Gotcha.
And basically, there's not much you can do over the phone anyway when you're calling them, and they really do not give a shit about when you call in. Like if a customer is calling in, because there's the abilities you have it's laughable. It really is laughable. And you can't provide a service. The only thing you could really do is send a technician out, but then you get in trouble for sending a technician out, because like you couldn't resolve the problem. So you had to get somebody else to do it pretty much. You're passing the buck.
Got you. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's like, well, if I can only try one or two things and those things don't work, I have to. The person's not just going to say, hey man, you tried, I guess I just won't use the internet. Have a good one.
I've been meaning to drink water. So
yeah, I've been meaning to get outside anyway. Have a good one. No, so they're going to stay on the phone. Like, okay, so what are you going to do about it?
I'm paying this much money for your service, and your service is not a service.
I'm paying $90 a month, and this fucking thing works doesn't work 90% of the time. You know what I mean? So it's laughable, and imagine if that type of company had the control over your freedom on the internet.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They don't care about you calling in. They actually hate when you call in. It costs them money. It costs Comcast $7 or $8 every time somebody calls them.
Seriously? Oh wow.
Yeah, for troubleshooting, it costs them $7 or $8. So imagine if they're getting anywhere between, realistically, because I used to handle the New England division at the time.
Got you.
They had like what was like 9.6 million customers, right? And they were averaging like 13,000 calls a month.
Damn.
So times that by 7 or 6. You know what I mean? So they don't want you calling in, and this big giant devil who doesn't care about the small guy using the internet, they have the control.
Yeah, that's what that means.
You know what I'm saying? And if Comcast see AT&T pressing on their area, they'll like cut off all people that have AT&T or have the option to even get AT&T. You won't be able to see AT&T advertisements because they'll be able to control that even.
Yep,
You know,
exactly. You
so
won't be
it's
able
it's a
to.
big fucking deal, bro.
It's
It's
huge.
definitely on some commie shit.
Yep.
You know, it really is. It really is, bro. I know you know where I'm coming from in this. You know,
Oh
it's
hell yeah. Well,
imagine if there was a guy in a computer, like sitting in some bunker,
mhm.
controlling everyone's internet. I'm gonna let this person over here in Mississippi see this, but I'm not gonna let the same person in Miami see it because it's kind of conflicting to the one that's trying to do it in Mississippi. So therefore, either none of them's gonna be able to see it, or only one of them's gonna be able to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's type of control they're gonna have at hand. And if it gets handed over to the to companies, man, it's going to affect every aspect of life and how people use the internet on a daily basis, man. And it can also affect our video games as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that was that's. I'm happy that you say that because I was about to get into that as well. Like, um, it's already like public knowledge that Verizon doesn't like any sort of peer-to-peer trading of data, a la the bit torrents and the ways people can get like illegal stuff. But what people don't know is that patch updates, like for games like World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, any sort of Destiny patch, that's all based on those same type of principles when it comes to transferring data. If a company feels that that's not the way data should be transferred in their network, you can only imagine the logistical problems that these game companies are going to have trying to submit patches for players to update their games with. Like, so going back to the whole Mississippi Florida thing, so it could be that the guy in Mississippi who has Comcast, and for some reason Comcast is cool with Activision, they're gonna get their patch. But if Verizon down in Florida isn't really cool with Activision, or Activision well, no, let's put it like this, or Activision doesn't want to pay like the high price that Verizon is charging them, Verizon can very well be like, no, we're not gonna really give you the amount of bandwidth that you need for your servers to actually transfer data files. So you could try to play Destiny or your Call of Duty, since we're talking Activision, or even World of Warcraft, since we're talking Activision. You could be in Florida trying to get a patch update that will never reach your computer. So like that's how this one of the many effects that this thing has on games, on us playing our games, along with I'm pretty sure a couple of other things that a couple of other ways that it'll affect our games. Like what have you come across, Jay? Like how it would affect internet games
Internet games, you said?
or any type of game? Yeah, like what will it do to affect us gamers?
Ba- Basically, let's see if this goes through. Let's say if it happened tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is my mentality and my knowledge of it. If it happens tomorrow, AT&T versus Comcast, very big portions of the country have these providers.
Yep.
Basically, if you're playing World of Warcraft through each company,
Mm.
and they have the control of these people that are playing the game, and they see that you're playing it too much, they can bottle your internet to the point where it's going to be unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Basically, they could slow it down, or if they see you using too much bandwidth, too much traffic, they could eventually potentially shut your shit off. They'll send you like warning letters in the mail, because they kind of do that now. Honestly, bro, I know Comcast does it, Spectrum does it. If you use too much internet in a month, they'll say you're approaching your cap. We're gonna have to turn your internet off if you keep using it.
Mm.
So imagine if they had all of the control, how that would be.
And
And if you're using a game that's solely connected to the internet in all ways, shapes, or form, in MMO, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, Destinies, people play Call of Duty online, things like this. Imagine if the company controlled that amount of bandwidth you're using through their company, and if they can literally potentially just turn your shit off if they felt like you're using too much.
yep.
You know?
Let alone the fact that everything that we have is connected to the internet constantly.
Yeah,
It's like you may be playing a single player game, but you're playing it on a console that's connected to the internet.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you may get a call on that phone, but you're probably going to be searching up something on the internet through your phone. Like it really kills all that. And that's basically one of the reasons why, or the biggest reason why, internet service providers are really rooting for the FCC to not to basically relax their hold on the internet, and so that they can have the power, is because they feel like big companies like the YouTubes, Google, Apple, they're using so much bandwidth of their internet, and the reality is that what they're seeing is a potential gargantuan profit, that if we're able to charge these people for their internet use by size, which is what the whole thing is, like they want to be able to charge these big companies by the amount of bandwidth that they use. They're saying that because they're taking so much of that bandwidth, we're losing money. That's sort of how they're reversing the logic. Like, it's not like they're losing actual money, like their accounts are going down, but what they're saying is that we see the potential amount of money we can make if we do charge them more, but because the FCC is involved in this, we're not able to charge those companies more for bandwidth. Like, they still get the whatever rate that they give these companies, and they don't like that. And so they're really rooting hard. They got lobbyists over in Congress making the moves. And little did I know that this whole net neutrality, even though it's a big subject now, has been like going back and forth since as early as like 2009, 2010. I was reading, so it kind of surprised me when I was doing research for this podcast how long this has been going for. And the other thing is that I think that I don't think that it's on the table. I think it actually passed. I think right now the commission, FCC, is basically handing over that power to the internet service providers. Because last thing that I read, which was like an article from a couple of weeks ago, it did say that Congress ended up passing that bill that said, hey, the FCC won't restrain ISPs from doing what it is that they want to do. So I was trying to find a little more stuff on that, on what we can do to protect ourselves. I know that's why so many websites had that net neutrality day to like have their voice heard and all that. I don't know what's gonna come of it though. You feel me? So it's a freakish fucking time, man. Like, our internet is not gonna be the internet that we know it, and that's kind of fucked up. And it's kind of even more fucked up to think that you and I, Jay, we came up in a time when we could literally say, at this point in my life, there was never internet that we could access. It just wasn't a thing. And now we live in a time where the internet is such a thing. So
Internet's like the only thing.
yes, seriously, bro.
It's like one of the only powerful tools, man. People have became famous, like we all know. We're doing this via internet right now. If there was no internet, we wouldn't be doing no chilling with the Jays. We have to do some physical chilling with the Jays.
Yes, seriously.
That's about it. And it's really fucked up what they're trying to do. And I did a little bit of research as well. They're currently in proceedings right now. Like, it didn't pass yet, but as of May, they kicked it off for it to go through.
Okay, that's
it's being fought right now by certain chairman. I don't want to drop anybody's name, but there's a person that's leading the fight, that's trying to fight against it. Nice. But Trump's administration is actually all for it.
Yeah. Yes.
So like that's the problem. That's the biggest issue. You know what I'm saying? Anything that we like as public, Trump doesn't like. So it doesn't have to be net neutrality. It could be anything. You know what I'm saying? The price of popsicles.
Exactly.
They're gonna have a committee dedicated to raise the price of popsicles over there. That's exactly what they're gonna do. But it's being fought right now. The good news is these type of things don't happen overnight. It's definitely gonna be like a long trial type scenario, because you're potentially taking away freedoms that people are allowed to have right now. Absolutely. So it's not gonna be no overnight thing.
Nah.
It's gonna be a fight for them to do it.
Yeah. It almost feels like they're gonna go a constitutional route, which I think they have, right? I mean, they're saying that it's a breach of free speech if that happens.
Yeah, they're pretty much. That's what they're trying to tie the internet into that of the Constitution. But of course, people are gonna be out there saying, well, they didn't have internet when they wrote the Constitution. That's why they wrote it instead of typed it. You know what I mean?
I think you're the guy saying that.
Nah, definitely not.
Nah, that you're
Definitely
saying
not.
it like
The
that's
only
how you
the
feel, but
only
I think
time I ever say some shit like that is when guns start getting to play. When they were saying that everybody has a right to bear arms,
yeah,
I'd be like, well, that was back when motherfuckers took 10 minutes to load a gun. You know what I mean?
it's also
Yeah,
true,
you
actually,
you know what I'm saying? Somebody could come and kill your ass by the time you even load that one bullet. You know?
yeah.
So yeah, of course they're gonna say everybody has the right to carry a gun. When you're over here putting the gunpowder, then you got to do the jerking off motion to stuff that fucking thing in there, and then hopefully it doesn't blast off in your own fucking face while you're pushing it down. You know what I mean? Then you got to put the gunpowder in the actual hole where where the thing, poof. You know what I mean? Where the actual click for the gun is, and if you fucking miss or some shit and you're nervous, by the time all that goes down, you already shitted on yourself.
Yeah.
And then somebody's coming at you with a knife, and it's all done. All done.
You're fucking flying.
So yeah, I think everybody has the right to have a gun in that scenario, right?
Yep.
You're gonna die anyway, you know. So now people have automatic weapons, so it's like, I don't, it's a conversation for another day. But do the fucking math.
Yeah, exactly,
You know?
exactly. There's things that it's all contextual and shit. It's all
Yeah.
like it has. Like, where are we at in this time? Like, what does it mean to us now? And at this point in time, the internet means a lot to us.
Yeah, it does, man. It's I guarantee right now it'll be a realistic. Anybody that was born after like 1975, I would say even 1970, even, the internet has become like an extension of yourself.
Hell yeah.
You use the internet for absolutely anything. Like, you rely on the internet as if it's a person. You rely on it. That's how comfortable you are with it. Well, the internet will know. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Shit like that. Like, I can always go entertain myself with the internet.
True.
If I'm bored, I'll look at the internet. If I need to know an answer to a test, I'll look at the internet. If I want to know why this girl isn't texting me back, there's a form for that. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Why do girls think I'm ugly? Yeah, something will be literally that's probably a website. Why is she taking so long to respond.com? You know what I mean? What did I say wrong? Question mark. You know?
Que paso.com. Like,
yeah, that's what should I grab her by her neck.com? That is, and it's out there. That's what you could do. But imagine if they didn't let you go to something like that. There was no articles out there on why she didn't text back. You'd be like, what the fuck am I gonna do, ma? Hey, ma. And how can your ma even know why a girl's not texting you back? She didn't have fucking texting back then. You know what I mean? She don't know. Nobody know. So it's fucked up, man. I hope to God this doesn't go through, and everybody really needs to start researching and getting deep on this, because it's a problem. Hey, Reddit, they can fuck right off as soon as that goes through.
Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna throttle Reddit real quick.
Yeah, real quick. That's probably the first one. Twitter and Reddit are probably gonna be attacked. You know what I mean? As soon as that, if that goes down, because there's too much opinionated motherfuckers on those sites.
Shut that shit off.
Shut that shit up.
Or they will have the ability to heighten the voices of one forum, or if you're
trying to connect
to another forum, they can be like, let's make it. Let's give them a hard time. Like, maybe we could 15 kilobytes per second is.
Let's fuck with their connection when they click on something about Trump. Anytime there's Trump in the article or something like that, let's go ahead and throttle it so fucking hard they just forget about it.
Yep.
Something like that, or you'll be able to see it on AT&T, but you go over to Comcast, all of a sudden you won't be able to. Something like that's a perfect example of it. Maybe one company might have a little bit more free reign. They might not really care as much. You'll be able to see it, watch your stuff, do whatever you want on that one. But then the other one is like, you're stepping into, going back to like World War II or something like that. They control absolutely every goddamn thing,
Exactly. And to the people out there who kind of, because there are people who just aren't informed enough and don't think about it enough, where they, I'm pretty sure the first response to people like us who feel so strongly for maintaining net neutrality, they're like, what, like, you guys sound paranoid. Are you sure? Like, you're basically saying a bunch of maybes and what ifs versus like what may actually happen. Let's be real, man. Like, at the end of the day, what it ends up being is a business, and now the businesses are able to do way more with their business. So you gotta imagine if a business had a way to restrain their competitor, if there was a way for a business to say, hey, if I can find a way to slow down the progress of my competitor's business, I'm gonna do that. We live in America. It's only natural that that's going to happen. And what's going to happen is that we're going to be caught in the crossfire of gigantic businesses basically vying for power, internet power. It's going to be giant, like a giant real estate thing. Like, we're going to spread as much of our fucking power out here and make sure that the other companies can't really step into our boundaries. And we're going to be the ones who lose out, because at this day and age, little do we know how many websites that we go to that are connected to a different type of company. You know what I mean? And it's just not going to be cool. It's not going to be cool. So for the people who feel like we're being paranoid, that's the answer. It's a business. They're going to make business decisions, and those business decisions are going to fuck us over real bad. Real bad.
Yeah, definitely. And the majority of our leaders right now of the country are all for it.
Are all for it because they're all fucking business owners.
Yeah, they're all for it. So it's, imagine if your leadership was fighting against what your own thoughts were as the public, because obviously the public as a whole they're not going to want this to happen.
Hell no.
You know what I mean? So it's not even a thing where like everybody's agreeing to it. Hey, let it happen. Nah, most of the people really knew about this and really were informed, they educated themselves on it, did the research about it. They would be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? This isn't like Berlin.
They're going to be just like us, dude. They're going to be just like us.
They really need to look into this shit. And people, go to freepress.com or savetheinternet.com.
Yes.
And you'll be able to check out anything we're talking about. And you'll be like, what the hell? As you read, you'll get more and more pissed off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm not going to be able to watch kitten videos anymore. You know? I can't watch big butts with syrup, and now it's got to be caramel syrup. Shit like back to that reference. It's like, come on, man. I want to see chocolate syrup. You know, unfortunately, you're going to have to move to Texas or something like that. Maybe they have a different company out there. Were they more favorable on this said syrup?
Yeah.
So
and
something along those lines.
I was reading another article that one of the dudes from Kotaku, the video game journalist, had written about, and he was saying the way that it could even affect gaming is that it might even enter into console wars, because then it's like, will the Microsoft Xbox have a better relationship with a majority of the internet service providers, or will Sony have a better relationship with those said internet service providers? So you would sit there and be like, should I get an Xbox or should I get a Sony? And it'd be like, well, the PSN works a lot faster than the Xbox Live does, because they're not really that cool with that many internet service providers. So they it's one of two things that can be happening. Number one is that Microsoft doesn't work well with the owners of the internet service provider in the area, and it's just shitty connection. Or the other thing where Microsoft says, fuck it, we don't have a cool relationship, but yes, because we have consumers, we're going to pay this internet service provider a lot more to get back to the bandwidth that we had before, which then in turn will effectively trickle down into how much a game and a system will cost for you. Because it's not like they're going to sit there and have you pay for the game and the system at the same price you've been paying for it. It costs way more for them to provide that system. So what do you think is going to happen to the consumer, to us? They're going to charge us more.
Fucked.
Exactly. They're going to charge us more because the internet service providers are charging them more to provide that service.
Yep.
So it's all around bad, people. This is back to back bad reasons. Like, but a big
imagine social media too, bro.
Oh hell yeah, bro.
Imagine social media. What if I think either Spectrum or Comcast right now are the biggest cable providers, like strictly cable providers in the country right now. Time Warner was, but imagine if like these companies in the government, had agreement or whatever the fuck, or social media websites had agreements with a certain company where they were going to have blazing speed with that company, but it was going to be fucked up on another one.
Yeah.
Because the companies don't want to be the companies that are in competition with each other are obviously going to be having a problem with each other.
Yep.
So therefore, if they're like contracted or whatever like that, the social media companies that make billions now, Instagrams, Facebooks, Twitters, who are worth billions, are paying these internet providers or vice versa That means like your Twitter will be good on AT&T or New Spectrum, but it'll be fucked up on Comcast.
Exactly.
You know, it'll move mad slow. It'll come in because they can't like just shut it off, but they can bottleneck the shit if this shit goes through. It'll be like it'll be 56K on one provider, but then it'll be rapid on like how you normally use the internet on the other.
And this is the argument that once again the businesses have, that the internet service providers have. They're like, if we're able to basically charge those social media companies and any other internet-based company mad more money for their bandwidth, that means that money will go into us being able to create way better internet. That's what they're saying. That's like their what is it? Their silver lining to why they want the FCC to back off, and so that, you know, from net neutrality, because that's like, we can provide more internet because we'll be able to charge more to the websites that use way more. But to be real with you, that's not a good enough excuse for me. Like, it may be good for y'all. Maybe somewhere in the future, yeah, you might get enough money to give us better internet. But if it's going to be limited internet, you know, it's like,
I don't want
better limited internet. I don't know how that works, but
right now they do it on cell phones. They do it on I know AT&T for a fact does it. I know Verizon does it. Basically, they they take away your speed. If you use it too much, they'll bottleneck your internet. Even though you're paying the bill.
Yeah.
It's your phone. You're paying for this phone now.
For this contract.
It's this contract. So it's not like they're doing you a solid. You're paying for this. It's not like they're providing it to the community. Yeah. So they can regulate it because they're giving it to you for free. Mm-hmm. You're paying for this. So therefore you should be able to use your phone as much as you feel like it. Go to any website you want to. You want to watch porn for 17 hours straight, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can go ahead and do it. And you're just beating the ever living out of your old Brajol there. But then if you at a certain point in a month or a certain cap, all of a sudden it'll be stopped. Therefore, it'll be reduced back down like 56K, because it happened to me like a couple of months ago. I was like halfway through my billing cycle. They sent me a text message saying, "Hey, you've been using too much of your internet, you fuck face. We're gonna have to go ahead and reduce your speed by 50%. It was so slow that I couldn't even use the internet.
Wow, that's nuts.
Literally, it was that fucking. You might as well not even try to open up your internet browser. But then as soon as you paid your bill, and as soon as it was the day after your bill cycle, all of a sudden it was just walking around like a cable modem in your palm of your hand. Yeah. So they're doing it. They have that power. So imagine if they had it on your house. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You're using too much money, or you're going to this website way too much from your house. We're going to have to go ahead and reduce that 50%. No way, because they're contracted with Comcast, and we hate them motherfuckers over there, Yep. They're rocking the wrong colors, and we want them out of here,
Oh, man. Net neutrality, people. Learn yourselves a little something.
Research it and shut the fuck up.
And tell us how you feel, because you know what? Net neutrality means you could tell us how you feel, and it will not be limited.
No, we won't. We will not bottleneck that. Definitely hit us up on the website, our email, whatever you want to do, social media, before it gets bottlenecked. They might put a bottleneck on there. Shit.
You know what I mean? They're like, this Chilling with the Jays podcast. Too much is going on. Shut those guys down.
Shut those guys down. Or it's like, another example would be, everybody has to use rubbers. What? Fuck out of here. Hell no.
And with that, we're out.
Yeah, we're out of here. I don't need no damn internet. You know what I mean? If I got to use a rubber, I am not going on the internet. All right? I'll tell you that right now. I don't need to know shit. You know what I mean? Google, I don't need to go on Google. I'll find that shit out the old way. I'll go to the library,
Straight up, brother.
Fuck that shit, man. So, but I think people need to look into it. It's a very important topic. And I think we touched on some very serious points about it. So on that note, bro, what do you think, bro?
I think that they should visit www.chillingwiththejayspodcast.com. On there, if Jay had mentioned Free Press, and what was the other website?
SaveTheInternet.com.
SaveTheInternet.com. We will be having those links on our website so that you can visit us. It'll be a portal to seeing that type of information. So please visit us there. Check out the latest episodes, videos, comments, all of that good stuff.
Point the comms.
Yep. And with that being said, no rubbers. Why? So
I'm not using one. I have a condom for you. It's called Dick Skin. Roadmap, veins, power, respect. That's all I can say.
What the fuck? All right, everybody, we are out this bitch.
We're out of here.
Deuces,
Peace.
everybody.
No rubbers.